Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lien, Deputy Director at RDS, Nectar and I'd also like to just take a moment to say thank you to Anne-Marie for inviting me here today. Really, what am I going to be talking about today? So what I'd like to put on offer to this kind of fantastic audience here is some opportunities and some options for you to consider around the data infrastructure space. So if you can bear with me for the next 15 minutes, I'm going to go back to the start and explain exactly these particular acronyms that I just threw at you at the beginning here. So a great first question is, who exactly is RDS? So RDS is the Research Data and Services Project, and if we just go back even kind of to the absolute beginning, there was RDSI, which was the Research Data Storage Infrastructure Project, and as the name suggests, this particular project concentrated its efforts on investments in setting up storage infrastructure. Once this particular kind of storage kind of hardware, rather disks, had been set up, the project then transitioned into the next phase, which focused more around investments in services, hence RDS. And when I kind of, or rather what I mean by kind of example services are kind of actual kind of upload of data sets of great importance to various domain communities, better access to these kind of various data sets, also more standardised formats for these particular data sets, creations of various registries so that these particular data sets could be searched and become more findable and accessible. So the next project is Nectar, and Nectar is the National E-Research Collaborative Tools and Resources Project. Nectar focuses its investments on setting up computing infrastructure, so what we all commonly would refer to now as cloud compute. There was also kind of a lot of development around software analysis tools and workflows. And these were kind of encapsulated in what Nectar calls their virtual laboratories, as they're more focused and specialised on towards specific domains. And so, with encapsulating the software analysis tools and workflows in these what we call or what we have abbreviated them to VLs. There was better uptake and utilisation by the various communities. So the foundations of both RDS and Nectar are very similar, if not identical. So 8 locations along the west, south and east coast of Australia were identified, and the actual infrastructure was set up at these various locations. So you can see by various logos there where they have been set up. The teams and the groups which set up and also maintain the actual infrastructure for both RDS and Nectar are also the same as well. The scale and the scope of obviously the setup varies. So some of what I would now term as our nodes or locations specialise in particular research domains. So for this particular audience here, you'd be most interested in Intersect, which specialises in the medical and health sciences area. One of our larger kind of nodes, which is Vic node, so that's that particular node is a combination of the University of Melbourne and Monash. They have a broader user base as they kind of deal with multiple domains. Sorry. So as Kate has already highlighted, that AND's Nectar and RDS are merging, and we're going from 3 into 1 next year. However, prior to this, we were very kind of specific kind of projects, each concentrating on our very, or rather each focusing on specific offerings. However, kind of now and in the immediate future, there will be much more tighter integration with the other NCRIS projects, specifically those that focus on domains and so forth. And both the infrastructure and our investments in activities and other projects will be much more kind of flexible and agile. I just want to draw your attention to this particular diagram here. I kind of it's one that I actually really do like, because it shows a very modular approach to the various components that we each look after. However, the diagram represents a much more kind of whole of system approach to data. So as you can see here, this very modular approach where there are various options for storage. So either kind of paid for services such as Amazon and Google, or kind of institutional kind of storage kind of solutions, and then also the RDS storage, which is on a national offering. So this allows the flexibility and agility for researchers in being able to kind of pick and choose the more based on fit for purpose for them, and familiarity, for example, also familiarity and also kind of what's available, what's kind of others obviously are recommending, and obviously the key one, which would be price as well. So with regards to RDS and Nectar, as Kate already mentioned, a lot of this is both national capability, but also either at no cost or very minimal cost to yourselves and your researchers. So this is my last slide with regards to the background information around kind of RDS and Nectar. What I want to now go into is some of the actual specific projects which RDS has funded and both ANS and Nectar have supported. So I believe these two projects here would be the two projects which would be of most interest to this particular audience. So the first one is the Omics project, and this particular project developed an analysis environment for multiple omics comparison and analysis. And this project was a 2-year project which completed just actually last month. The next project that I'll talk about and briefly mention is the MedDoc data project. And this particular project was work that was carried out mainly by Intersect, but also VicNode and some of the other nodes as well. So it was a collaborative venture that develops a facility that would provide both infrastructure, resources and services to the medical and health community. So the first project, which I'm going to talk about, is the Omics project, and really this is an analysis platform for, I would say, biologists. So researchers who have very little computational experience and also very little bioinformatics experience. This particular platform was developed as there was another project through the Bioplatforms Australia Consortium around generating sepsis reference data sets. So there were various bacterial strains and isolates that have been and are still being sequenced. And the analysis and the workflows and so forth from these particular reference data sets have been analysed and developed So they are, I would say, a gold standard data set for researchers to make the comparisons from their own data set against these. So the intention of this particular platform was to develop basically a GUI-based view for researchers to be able to bring in their own data sets. So on the on the right-hand side of the column here in the black box, there's a data management component, and that particular data management component allows the researchers to bring in their own data sets, to store those particular data sets, to then bring in the gold standard kind of reference data sets, to then be able to kind of make comparisons between the two. Then there's another kind of interface, I'd call it, which contains the analysis component, and the analysis component allows the user to analyse obviously kind of any of the four various kind of omics data sets. So this is a very powerful and adaptive kind of platform for both the integration, the management, and the analysis of the framework. And I'm just going to very, very briefly go through how they developed this within the very, very short period of just under 2 years. So a lot of the actual kind of components already existed, such as the compute, some of the tools, some of the training, and obviously storage, and there was a software with regards to kind of data management that also already existed. And what the project team did was they extended a lot of this, so adding more tools, more training, and then linking and joining these various components together to then actually build this particular platform. So this is the back end, and this is what obviously a lot of your users wouldn't see, but I'm just kind of highlighting how they did it. And this then also allowed, as you can see on the far right-hand side here, where there is much better data management around the specific item level layer of the data, that there is a much more streamlined process to be able to publish the data and make it more shareable and findable to international online repositories. So that's also kind of what's being developed as well. And so the actual user view, or the best representative view that I can offer you here, is that a user would log into what's called the genome space view, and this is where they would work with the actual kind of data files, and then the view on the left-hand side would be another window which would allow them to basically carry out their analysis and comparisons. So that would allow you to view your data, to analyse your data using the various tools that have been loaded onto the platform, and then also to actually make cross omics comparisons as well. So that's, I was going to say, as much as I'm going to cover with regards to the omics project. I'll now move on to the next project, and this is the med.data project, and this particular project developed a facility that provided data infrastructure and services, and the particular offerings around the infrastructure and services here were security compliance, storage of your data, so compute to allow you to analyse your data, and then also the tools, so that you can analyse your data, and then obviously further storage kind of facilities in terms of backup as well. So the project also offered a library of resources that provided information and guidance around some of these these 4 bullet points. So protecting personal health information, legislation, codes, statements and policies, and IT security requirements. If you go online to the actual website, rather than having to read all the various documents and the white papers, there's a functionality in there that will allow you to ask specific questions and then jump to the either the specific section or the specific page. So making life a little bit easier rather than having to read a 50+ kind of document. It'll obviously kind of allow you to kind of jump a little bit and go direct to the question that you want to ask. Sorry, the computer's frozen here. Another activity which this project undertook, which I think would be maybe of interest to a lot of the participants here, was a pilot safe haven. And I don't need to really describe what this actually means, but what I will do is I will describe what some of the design considerations that the team kind of obviously kind of took. So obviously, they considered the high level of assurance in identification and authentication, restricting the data in and out of the system, also kind of ensuring that the data custodian had control of what actions were being performed on their data and so forth. Some of the processes which the team kind of went through when obviously kind of designing and developing this particular safe haven was requirements gathering. So they did engage with use cases. So researchers at Monash University were approached, and these particular researchers had either registries of de-identified patient data. So we're mainly concentrating on, for this particular project, the de-identified kind of aspect. There was a lot of reuse around work that had already been done by the Swansea University around kind of sale. And what was in the end developed was a Sail-like Windows-based instance running on Nectar compute. So this is what from the requirements gathering, this is what the actual kind of researchers themselves specifically requested, that they wanted something that could be run on Windows. And I was just going to kind of very, very briefly highlight some of what they implemented or made sure that they implemented. And so I have obviously a lot more detail around how all of these were addressed. So if people would like to approach me later on, I'm afraid I don't think I have the time to go through this in much detail. But yeah, please grab me during the break if you want any more information. And I was going to say more information can be found on our website, but also I was going to say in your brochure there should be this lovely orange booklet with some more kind of details, and I'm pretty sure that the various websites and links of the information which I presented, or at least you can, kind of there will be further information in these booklets about kind of at least some of the background information that I presented earlier with regards to the RDS and Nectar and ACT. So thank you very much.